So, just to expand a little bit more, I wanted to go and find some important quotes in the Buddhist community about the not self and Samuppada and or Paticca Samuppada. And so I'm going to share what I found. So the first quote is from One Dharma by Joseph Goldstein. And he says that all the Buddhist traditions converge in one understanding of what liberates the mind. It is summed up very well in one teaching of the Buddha. Nothing whatsoever is to be clung to as I or mine. Whoever has heard this has heard all the teachings. Whoever practices this has practiced all the teachings. Whoever realizes this has realized all the teachings. Nothing whatsoever is to be clung to as I or mine. Non-clinging can be understood on two levels. The first level is non-clinging as a way, non-secular instruction for practice. What to do? Don't cling. There's no Buddhist school that says cling. How to practice in the world? Don't cling. It hardly matters what form we build around them. We cannot cling as a Tibetan house. We cannot cling as a Zen house. We cannot cling in a Theravadan house. The essence of one Dharma is the same. But non-clinging is not only an instruction of practice. On the second level, it is also a description of the awakened mind. If we want to know what enlightenment is like, what awakening is like, we can practice the mind of non-clinging, non-fixation, non-attachment to anything at all. It's the mind of open groundlessness. And so the next quote I found is by Anthony DeMello. And Anthony says, happiness is our natural state. Happiness is the natural state of little children to whom the kingdom belongs until they have been polluted and contaminated by the stupidity of society and culture. To acquire happiness, you don't have to do anything because happiness cannot be acquired. Does anyone know why? Because we have it already. How can you acquire what you already have? Then why don't you experience it? Because you got to drop something. You got to drop illusions. You don't have to add anything in order to be happy. You got to drop something. Life is easy. Life is delightful. It's only hard on your illusions, your ambitions, your greed, your cravings. Do you know where these things come from? From having identified with all kinds of labels. The next quotation is from Jiddu Krishnamurti. And he says, we say that is a rose, rapidly look at it and go on. By giving it a name, we think we have understood it. We've classified it and think that thereby we have understood the whole content and beauty of that flower. By giving a name to something, we've merely put it into a category and we think we have understood it. We don't look at it more closely. If we do not give it a name, however, we are forced to look at it. That is the approach. That is, we approach the flower or whatever it is with a newness, a new quality of examination. We look at it as though we had never looked at it before. Naming is a very convenient way of disposing of things and of people. By saying that they are Germans, Japanese, Americans, Hindus, you can give them a label and destroy the label. If you do not give a label to people, you're forced to look at them, and then it is much more difficult to kill somebody. And then lastly, the last quote I have is, it is just some of the Dhammapada verses on pages 197 through 199. And it says, indeed, we live very happily, not hating anyone among those who hate. Among men who hate, we live without hating anyone. Indeed, we live very happily in good health among the ailing. Among men who are ailing, we live in good health. Indeed, we live very happily, not striving for sensual pleasures among these who strive for them. among those who strive for them will live without striving. And I just think all of these quotes work really well with my presentation because it kind of brings my ideas and what I talked about kind of back to a more grounded state where you can look at them, especially the one by Jiddu, where it talks about, putting labels and names on things, and then we just bypass it and don't think anything of it, when really we should look at everything with the same beauty and understanding and inquisitiveness that we look at the next thing at. There should be no label that causes us to not want to learn about something or know something just because of a label. And lastly, I have a video. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I have one last quote, and that is, throughout the world being suffer, may all beings be happy. May all beings be free of suffering, free from attachment and sentimentality. May my mind be a refuge for all beings, and may all beings develop their minds in a wholesome way. The gift of the Dharma excels all gifts. The taste of the Dharma excels all tastes. Delight in the Dharma excels all delights. The eradication of craving overcomes all sorrow. Okay, so I just have a video that I wanted to show. It's kind of a way to apply not self in meditation. I'm not sure if
longer retreats is not available for many of our community who are busy raising families or busy at work.
Yeah, okay.
On longer retreats, it's easier to access deeper meditative states. But when we're involved in our worldly responsibilities, this can often be quite a challenge. On longer retreats, you really have an opportunity to explore the many ways in which we construct a view of self, a sense of self. We begin to see the unskillful actions that come out of this mistaken notion of what we call the personality view. And at different points in our practice, we can have deepening realizations of the fundamental teachings of the Buddha. And that particularly is of anatta, the Pali word for selflessness or non-self. That there's no inherently existing self. But when we're not in a position to do a longer intensive retreat, is this insight, this understanding accessible to us? On my last self-retreat, quite spontaneously, a 9-minute-a-day plan came to my mind. I thought of it as a way of turbocharging our daily practice by doing 3 short meditations a day, 3-minute meditations. And each of these sessions I'm about to guide us in targets a particular area of strong identification where this mistaken sense of self is created and is strengthened. In the first 3 minutes, we'll simply sit and listen to sounds. And as we open to and relax into the awareness of the various sounds, settling back into that openness, into that spaciousness, we can ask ourselves the question, can I find what is knowing the sound? As we investigate, we discover that there's no actual knower, even though knowing is happening. So in this case, we're listening to sounds, we're open to hearing, and when the mind feels open, relaxed, spacious, we ask the question, can I find what's knowing the sound? And we see that although we cannot find the knower, the knowing is still going on. So this can be very helpful in breaking the identification with the knowing as a knower. All that's going on is just hearing. There's no I or self behind it. In the second 3 minutes, we'll do an exercise that helps break through the very strong identification that we have with the body. And in this session, there are 2 parts, and they could be alternated with one another, or you could find the one that is most helpful for you. The first part of the exercise is to take in as deeply as possible the truth that birth inevitably ends in death. To make as vivid as possible the understanding not only of our own deaths, but also the deaths of everyone around us. The truth of this is not something morbid, but rather it's part of the truth of our lives. This is something that will come to pass for us all. And it serves as a very potent reminder that the body is not self, not I. It's subject to aging, decay, and death.
Go down.
The other exercise in this second session, in which we're learning to not identify with body, is to be experiencing bodily sensations, free of the concept of body or part of body. And so we'll be investigating and experiencing the sensations directly and their changing nature. And the last 3 minutes involves a careful attention to thoughts, with an effort to be aware of thoughts precisely as they arise. Very often we're aware of thoughts after they're already finished. And that itself is a useful insight. But in this particular 3 minutes, we'll arouse the effort, the energy, the attentiveness to be watching for thoughts, to see if it's possible to be aware of them in their very moment of arising. When we're able to do this, even for a few moments, we often see that in the moment of being aware of the thought vanishes. And through repeating this exercise again and again, we weaken the identification we have with the thought process, with thinking. Begin to see that thought itself is the thinker, and that there's no I or self behind it. So if we can combine this 9-minute-a-day program with the other aspects of a daily practice, I feel that this can tremendously enliven our understanding of the teachings and even the depths of the teachings in the midst of our very busy lives.
Okay, so I'm gonna wrap it up. I agree with what Joseph had to say to finish it off. How just 9 minutes a day of practicing the not self while you meditate can help us understand the ideas and the teachings and the depths of those for just 9 minutes a day. And meditation's already been proven to be beneficial for your health. So as I said, I believe everyone should do meditation every single day. And so hopefully you guys will maybe see this, check out this video link. And I'm sorry my dog keeps barking.